Okay, this is a video to show the Heteromac formation, which is all energy travel, which is what you're looking at on the screen. Vortex to Ouroboros torus wave, and then back to vortex. It may become an Ouroboros torus sphere, but it's always vortex, wave, ones and zeros throughout the universe, from atoms, construction, to suns on a string. I'm not going to be doing any more videos, not science videos anyway. This is my last one, and it's basically just to kind of explain the Heteromac, which is what you're looking at. I have nothing else to say. I've done this for a time and a half a time, and I'm done. I was given, or contained, the small scroll which was eaten by Daniel, Ezekiel and John, and could not be read by them because it was for a future generation. Saying it couldn't be read by them because it was a future generation's thing that they would understand is only true in the sense that it is not anything to do with words, it is to do with pictures. They saw double helix energy flow, which is all energy flow, which is all radiation travel, which is all electrical and electromagnetic flow, vortex to Ouroboros torus sphere, which creates every single thing in the universe. John, Ezekiel and Daniel did not know what that was because they didn't deal with electricity and electromagnetism. I've said our God is energy. I have described it as electricity and electromagnetism because that is what you know as electricity and electromagnetism, which is vortex to Ouroboros torus sphere or wave, as on the screen, and back to vortex, which is what all those connections are between matter and energy that is formed. Ezekiel, John and Daniel couldn't understand it, but they ate the small scroll, which means that it became part of them. That's how they visualized it. It is now part of your DNA, which is to be passed on down through the years and then opened by somebody, which in fact turned out to be me. I did this by creating an electric atom, or theorizing an electric atom and how it moved, and it turned out to be a double helix figure 8, which is phi to pi, and that actually turned out to be a Heteromac formation. I then had visions where every single thing I'd seen and millions of things I hadn't seen jump out of my head and be like a transparent video screen, purple around the edges, where I saw this golden double helix that God showed me when I visualized the electrical atom, which was phi to pi. This golden helix that I then saw in my head then opened and jumped out of my head and inserted itself into every single thing in the universe, organic, non-inorganic, suns, stars, blah, planets, atoms, you name it. I've seen it. Because that's not a magical torus on their magnetic field. That is attached to the electrical field. And it's not just it creates something, it's attached. It's a travel pathway. Vortex to Ouroboros torus wave, and then back to vortex, which is what that is, because magic doesn't exist. That is part of a Heteromac formation. Many have been seen around the world. Anyway, here's a few more videos. All my work is online. I've got nothing left to give. A time and a half a time is how long I've done this, and I understand everything in the Bible pretty much, apart from a lot of crazy revelation stuff that God has not allowed me privy to, but God showed me how to understand and describe and explain every single power miracle in the Bible, which I have done on a playlist describing all Bible miracles. So I haven't got anything left. There's nothing. There's no thoughts on my mind, and you might have noticed over the last couple of weeks that I haven't done many videos, and that's because I haven't got anything left on screen. Ouroboros torus sphere, that's what energy does, that's what plasma does. I haven't been doing many videos because I've got nothing. I've told you everything that I've seen, that I've been reminded of. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of questions that people could ask me that I would do other things, but I have explained from the atom to the magnet, which then leads immediately back to the atom, because all atoms are magnets and all magnets act like atoms. And so I've come full circle in 3.5 years, and now I'm done. So this is a final little bit on a Heteromac formation, which is how energy travels through matter, and it's how everything is put together, the building blocks of life. Even your bones in your arms and legs go one bone, two bone, many bones. Exactly the same as that Lichtenberg figure on screen, except your human body has a DNA code which had to have been written, otherwise we'd look like that on screen. And we don't look like that on screen. We look like people, which means somebody placed a code inside us to build that fantastic body. So that's how a Lichtenberg figure works. One bone, two bones, many bones. That's the fractal nature of energy travel. And when it's coded, you get arms and legs. That's what comes from the wave. All right. So I'm done. No more science videos, but there will be an electric Bible series. It just depends on if I ever get time to make them. But basically just be me sitting down, going through the Bible and explaining to you all the electrical events in the Bible, because the Bible is an electrical event and has to be viewed as such if you want to understand what's written in it. All right, thanks very much. My name is Lee. I have followed the Christ on this journey for 3.5 years, and you have heard it all. Thanks very much. May God bless you all with peace, due to the knowledge that he has given me to impart to you, that all men might come to a knowledge of God and understand him and turn around and be saved. Thanks very much. Here's a couple of final words on Heteromac formations. Hope you've enjoyed what I've done, and if you haven't watched everything, then you haven't seen everything. All right, thanks a lot, and may God bless you all with wisdom and love. The end is coming soon. All right, bye. All right, today we're doing all energy travel, all you need to know, everything based upon one thing. This is a perfect example. If I can take it off without hurting myself. All right. Okay, in a minute I'm going to show you a drawing, my original drawings of everything that goes on, and then because of this you should see what I'm about to say. Now, I kind of depicted the Earth like this the other day, with a waveform either side, with the planet in the middle and the beam coming from the sun. Now this is what's known as a heteromac formation. Now normally, if you look up heteromac formation, you will find a plasma instability. Well, no, that's just energy travel, and that's how it travels. Now, I just want you to notice one thing. Brown. The leaves are falling off. The waveform that we're shooting out from top to bottom, one here and one there, on the brown ones, they're all falling off. Why? Lack of energy. These ones at the top are still receiving energy from the sun, you see, and so they still retain all their electromagnetic waveforms, which is these that are sticking out the sides. This is what the Earth looks like now. Once upon a time it used to look like that, with two beautiful waveforms up and down. Now the power has dropped, and so it was basically turning into that. So how is a heteromac constructed? Well, you get a vortex, then you get an Ouroboros torus sphere with two waveforms, because it's a rolling wave. That's what this all is. That is a rolling wave that has rolled from one side and a second side and met together. As you can see, there is an obvious gap right there in this front facing corner of all of them. Sorry about my camera, it's just the GoPro, so I can't get too close. But right there is a gap, and it's got a gap right there, and the same there. So energy in a double helix, which is rotating, as you can see by this stem. There's a twist to it, then the wave splits into a rolling wave. This is one side of a wave, one side and one side of a rolling wave, because it has ends that come to a point, and if you roll these up, that'll make a double helix, like a shotgun barrel. So two waves have gone that way. Another two waves roll around and meet, which is why the gap is there. They roll around and meet and become an Ouroboros torus field, which is how all spheres are created. There's no such thing as a round sphere. There is only an Ouroboros torus sphere, which is many T waves, which is vortex to wave, a T wave, that is the shape, and when they all link together they form a circle. That is why when you drop water on the floor, it shoots out energy fingers in all directions. And if there was enough water and it met a barrier, that finger of water would then start spreading sideways till eventually you would have a circle. Same thing as Saturn's rings. So vortex to wave to vortex to wave to vortex to wave. This is how all energy travels when it travels through an electrical inertial plane. So the amount of levels on this electromagnetic plant are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 so far. And if you'll notice, they get tighter together as they come to the top, because it's an inverse square law, but also this is DNA coded, so it will go wherever God has designed it to go, due to the DNA code, which is activated by electricity because it is a frequency code. So all of this DNA is electrical code, and the electrical code tells the electricity which direction to travel and what to turn into: an electromagnetic flare, or an Ouroboros, or a double helix vortex. So this is a heteromac formation, and it has wings on either side and a ball in the middle, same as all your Egyptian mythology, anything with wings and a ball. I have it right here because this is how the atmosphere is constructed, like this way, that way, that way, that way, that way, all directions. But our atmosphere goes up in this direction, and then on the side of the planet it's going that way, and underneath all the way around in 360 degrees. That is how the atmosphere is constructed. The connections between all atoms is exactly the same as this: vortex to an Ouroboros, and then back to a vortex. That, you could say, would be two electrons meeting and locking together, so that you've got an electron lock. That would be one double helix vortex, one double helix vortex, and a double helix Ouroboros field, except there would be two of them, one from either direction for an atom. But the connections, I mean, obviously atoms don't do this, but compounds do this. Just put 3 or 4 there, you have a heteromac formation. Every single tree branch is a heteromac formation of energy. Every single point going up the tree is the heteromac formation. Every branch is one of these. It is a sideways turn, where it has to turn sideways, roll, inverse and reflect, so that it can carry on, because each layer is clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise of electrical flow, left or right. And everything is a heteromac. Down a wire, down them wires that are just back over the other side of the road there. Electricity passes like this through a wire. Except this leaf is an Ouroboros field, and it's round. But here it's represented by one of them. So take off the leaves here. I don't know much about electricity, so you'd have to ask an electrician if there's actually extra flares. But a normal electricity line is vortex, Ouroboros, vortex, Ouroboros. They say it's electricity and electromagnetism. That's exactly what it is, because these leaves are an electromagnetic flare, and that is an electromagnetic Ouroboros torus sphere. So the atmosphere is like this because it's electric, and this is what holds up the sky. Your trees are heteromac formations, and all their branches split off, and you can see that in any wooden table. You have exactly the same electromagnetic pattern as I've shown with the Soho camera of the sun, when it accidentally records things it shouldn't be recording, which is electromagnetic flares. And I've shown that in previous videos. Clouds, all heat and energy goes up in a vortex, and then at the inertial line it turns into a cloud. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll see heteromac formations bursting out of clouds, vortex fingers I call them. Then they hit an inertial line and they bubble, then they hit an inertial line and bubble. So the cloud just seems to be all of this squashed down into one cloud. Everything is doing it. I can sit here and say, that's your heart or your brain, and these are your arms. Or I can go down and go, this is your legs and your genitals, because both your brain and your genitals are the energy point of your body, because your brain is an energy and your genitals hold reproductive energy. And so that is why the body is designed as it is. Our heart sends things down and up. 2 T's, 1 up, 1 down. 1 for your arms and your brain, and 1 for your legs and your genitals. Because when you are born, your body splits this way. As it comes in from mom, through the umbilical cord, your body and head go this way, and your legs and everything else goes this way, you see. So what happens is you get a hole and a vortex up here. One hole is your mouth, the vortex point is your brain, because your brain is a double helix folded tornado vortex. Just go and have a look at a brain and you'll see that I am correct. It is a waveform that has been folded over, and it's got two sides, which means it's double helix. So you have, in a double helix, a hole end and a vortex point end. So you get a hole and a point of energy. The hole is your mouth and all the holes that go in, and the energy point is your brain. When we go below your heart, we get a hole and an energy point. One is the hole that is for waste matter to be released while defecating, and the other is a point of energy, which is your reproductive organs, because that is the energy to reconstruct life. So of course it's important. So you got a hole and an energy point, and a hole and an energy point with your heart in the middle, coming from mama. See how easy it is to explain everything with one thing? All energy travels in a double helix vortex to Ouroboros wave to Ouroboros torus field and back to a vortex. So every time there's a split from any level of any plant, it's because it hit an electrical level in the atmosphere. All of these, and then suddenly you've got all these seed pods, and I've shown Birkeland's current seed pods and exactly why it has a seed in it on one side and not the other, and on one side and not the other. Everything I'm telling you now is all energy travel. We could just walk around this garden forever, but everything's doing the same thing. This is a heteromac formation. Waveform, 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 waveform. There doesn't always have to be two, but normally there's a curly leader here. One is electricity and one is electromagnetism. Double helix. Everything is double helix. Looks like flowers, but that's a heteromac formation. Everything is a heteromac formation with a double helix trumpet, and then inside you have the stamens, which is the energy point reproductive sexual parts of a plant. My doggy. She's got two swirls on the top of her legs, and all this meets. Can we see any? Where's your swirls? Well, we'll look later. But many dogs, just there, you can kind of see them there on the back of the legs there. There's like a squiggly point. I can't get close. There's one there and one there, because that's a double helix exit point, and so it comes to a swirly point, clockwise and counterclockwise. Same as pretty much 90% of people have a clockwise or counterclockwise swirl in their hair, because this is where energy left as a waveform, exactly the same as the edge of a wave, except it came out of your head like that. I, on the other hand, have two vortex hair swirls. Doesn't really mean anything. It just means that energy travels as a vortex, but maybe it's just due to the shape of my head, because it seems to be dented at the back. I don't know where that is. Mine hadn't yet come to a point. It was still as a double helix. So I have two swirls, whereas your head might be a little bit bigger than mine at the back, and so you only have one swirl where the double helix joined into one single vortex that is both helixes together to make it a double helix. So yeah, let's have a quick look over there. So yeah, that's an electromagnetic double helix vortex, because it hit a level in the atmosphere and then it shot out a branch this way because it had to. It has to roll that way and then grow back that way, because now it's traveling different. First off, it was coming this direction, goes in, comes back out, and now it's going in that direction, and then it will do it again here and here, because that's how all energy travels. Even this, that is a heteromac formation, and it's fractal, so it means every single piece in here is doing exactly the same thing as that whole big piece. Pine cone design, as I've shown and explained. So that's about it really. So I'll just go to the paper now and I'll draw exactly how all things move. It's easiest to see with things like water pouring and you see the Ouroboros field appear, or smoke rings rising. You see the double helix Ouroboros torus field create itself, and it zips to one side, spins around into a circle, and then joins on either side. It's not a torus, it's an Ouroboros, which is known as the snake that eats itself. That's because one end is a hole and one end is a point, so of course it can eat itself and it becomes a torus, but it's an Ouroboros torus field created from vortex to double helix wave. Alright, that'll do. Now I haven't included any drawings because they are on all my other videos. Alright, thanks. So, now that I've explained the Heteromac and its electrical and electromagnetic signals, and the fact that energy comes down to ground in a Lichtenberg figure, and that everything is growing through electrical levels. It's what everything does. There's no getting away from the fact that electricity and electromagnetism are intrinsically linked. Vortex to double helix Ouroboros torus and back to vortex, and that is how energy travels through everything, which means it's universal. This gets rid of science because it then changes all science due to the fact that energy and matter are separate. It gets rid of religion because it means there's only one God and he's an energy being, living water. It gets rid of mythology because everything is connected by double helix energy flow. Finn, come here. Oi! No, not our land. Over here. Crazy dog. That's where our land ends, right where the dog is. That's the neighbours. Come here. Finn, come here. Come on, come here. Oh, you got him barbed wire there. Silly dog. Good girl. So it gets rid of science, it gets rid of mythology, it gets rid of religion, and it probably gets rid of history too, due to the fact that we're living in a very, is it fake history? A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it has been cobbled together to fool you into thinking how things have been and how they have gone. And most of it's just a downright lie. As we see by pictures painted over by pictures and murals over murals. So yeah, double helix energy makes everything grow. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Eventually, at many points, it all looks like the same. And everything is grown the same way. Double helix. That's how you get your leaves and your flowers and everything else. Ouch, and there's still some mozzies around. It's quite early in the morning. No, it's not. I've just dropped my daughter off at work. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. But now, every time you go out, you should see a Heteromac formation everywhere in some DNA coded form or other. Because that's how energy travels. Down a wire, through plants, how the sky is held up. There isn't a glass bloody dome or anything silly like that. There's an electrical barrier, which is why asteroids explode when they enter the atmosphere. They go through electrical levels and then they spark and then they explode because energy goes through them, and any crack in anything is caused by the bending of something, which produces energy at that point, which then escapes and forces the matter apart. That's why you get cracks in things. And so rocks explode when you force electricity through them, which is what happens when they pass through atmospheric levels, and that's why they blow up at certain heights. Because energy is a Heteromac. This way and that way. Ones and zeros. Ones and zeros. Ones and zeros. That always makes me think about the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he does the hand things at the end. I'm sure it's something to do with that, to basically say to us like, yeah, we already told you, because we're Hollywood and we've placed everything in front of you as the truth, but you've pretended it was a Hollywood fake. So I might actually have a look for that video, and just to put up that piece and see if it's ones and zeros and that way, just for a laugh. Because every time I mention the ones and zeros like that, it does that. So It's been times and a time and a time and a half a time. So times, a time and a half a time is how long I've been doing this. And I've come from the atom to the magnetic field, and the magnetic field is the atom field, because everything is electrical and electromagnetic. So I've come full circle, and God's wisdom has shown that he has made all things new through what I've said. All science is now new, all spirituality is now new, because I've proven it that there is a God, only one God, and he's an electrical being, an energy being, pure energy. We are made of matter, he's energy, and he gives us energy, the water of life, and we live forever. The universe is electrical, and I have now shown exactly how it works. Vortex, Ouroboros, and back to Vortex, through every single thing, and is fractal at different observable sizes within the universe, and it's always the same. From a flower growing in a galaxy S shape to a galaxy that's spinning in a galaxy S shape. Energy wins. Energy describes everything. Energy overcomes everything because it always travels the same. Energy never changes, and neither does God. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, neither can God. Energy holds all information, and all information is energy, because computers hold energy, which is information. So God, being energy, owns all information and knows all information. And because electricity and electromagnetism are everywhere in the universe, as energy is, God is now confirmed as being an energy being who is everywhere at any point in time or space, which don't exist. Time and space are merely the degradation of atoms, and space has no properties. Matter is just inflated into the space by electromagnetism. Kind of threw myself off there. Don't know where I was going. Yeah. So energy is everywhere and knows everything and can't be created or destroyed. And that's the epitome of a God. And I have been shown by our God that he is energy, that energy and matter are separate, and that energy attracts matter, matter covers energy, and energy moves matter. Everything here is an electrical, electromagnetic shape, which is a representation of the energy travelling through a DNA coded frequency written by God, so that we get all this. Everything is a waveform, electricity to electromagnetism and back to electricity. Cascade event. So the one thing unites all things. God is an energy being, and energy runs and controls and moves the universe. Energy can do anything, can create any shape, due to the fact of how it moves and its properties therein. So I believe, thank you Lord, what a trip, that I have successfully shown that double helix energy flow is in everything, and that because of Habakkuk 3:4, that God is as the light, and from his hand horns protrude, the same as a magnet, and he is as the light, which is electricity and electromagnetism, and this is the hiding of his power, which means it's invisible, which of course he is described as the invisible God and has invisible qualities. So I have successfully proven by scripture and energy travel that there is a God, and it is the God of the Bible, due to the description of himself and his power, which no other book has. I've successfully proven that there must be a God. It's not even probable. There has to be. And along the way I've made hundreds of videos showing all this in detail, and so my job is now done. I do believe I'll be moving on to more biblical studies now, because I've shown through by science that my God is real. Now I'm just going to go electrically through the Bible so that you can hear what I have been shown by the Lord about scriptures in the Bible. And a lot of it's stuff you've never heard, and I don't just read the Bible out and then go thanks a lot, goodbye. I read it out and I tell you exactly what it means. Alright, and that's the end of the videos for a bit, unless the Lord has some good stuff for me to show you. But no, I think I'm done. I've come full circle, and it's taken me times a time and a half a time. 2014 April to 2017 September. Thank you Lord. My head is no longer exploding, but the memories and the information remain, which of course is God's and none of what I say. is my own. Oh, and just while we're on the subject, I said in a video the other day that I changed the orientation. I got the orientation wrong of coming into the Earth. No, I didn't get the orientation wrong. It's just another version of energy travel, because both work either way, coming in from the top or coming in from the side. And I do believe that there's a third version of what's actually happening, because we have 3 inertial points from the sun: north and south, east and west, and then a beam straight through. So yeah, everything I've said has been correct. It's just one form of energy travel or another. Every picture I've drawn is correct. Some people might think that a lot of my magnetic stuff, I kind of change what I'm doing on it. No, there's just different layers on a magnet. The outside is a swirl, the inside is a flower of life, and the other side is a pine cone. And then you have to rotate that 360 degrees, and you get a magnetic field. But it's difficult to draw, so I've drawn many different facets of the magnetic field. There we go. I think that's it, Doug. Hey, Finn? Finn, do you think we're finished? Are we done? Yeah? If we're done, run away. Alright, thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ. I've told you and shown you everything he showed me. It was brilliant, and it was easy, because God supplied everything. I can still do this, and I can hold a conversation to defeat any scientist in the world with this theory. This theory replaces all theories and can be proven in every single science and discipline in the universe. And just by looking through my videos of every single science that I've attacked, you'll see it's absolutely true. Has to be true. There's no way this could be from one man. This is straight from God to me in visions in 2014 for 3 weeks, day and night, and then ongoing after that, up until this day today, where my mind is now pretty much perfectly clear and back to normal. Except now I am changed, irrevocably. Can't even say the word. Irrevocably changed, and that's that. So yeah, now we're going to start digging into the Bible, because I've proven it by science, and now everything I say about the Bible will be shown to be true, because what I've said about science is true, and I said that God showed me everything from science to the Bible to the universe. And so what he showed me in science I've proven to be true, which means that, sorry, this is a massive hill, so it means that everything I'm going to say about God and his words must be true, because it's what I was shown. Thanks very much. Start looking at what Jesus tried to teach you through the Bible, and discover what right from wrong truly is, and then you'll be able to repent and turn around and face God and confess all to him, knowing that he will forgive you, because that is what God wants. He wants to forgive us all, but how can he forgive you if you won't ask for repentance in a true form, because you understand right from wrong and what God is, and that he loves us. Alright, see you on the next Electric Bible video. Thanks a lot. Okay, so that's me done. There's no point in me going on, because I didn't do this for views. I didn't do this for money and views. I did this in the hope that people would understand exactly what I'd done, and we could go on from there. So there's no point in me doing any more videos, because I'll only be repeating everything that I've ever shown. So if you put into the search bar on my channel Ouroboros, or Halowave, or Heteromac, you will find everything you need to know about how energy moves through all matter. So yeah, I didn't do this for the money. I've earned probably $29 per month for the last 3 years, so you can add that up and figure that that's not, you know, worth living on. Every video that I've ever done could have been 2-3 hours long, but you know, I didn't know who would watch them, so I didn't. So every single thing that I've done is an overview, a conclusion, a summary of what actually is happening. So I've explained it all, and now I'm done. God did this through me. This is your last chance. This is the last person that's going to show up, as far as I know, biblically speaking, and tell you right from wrong. And so that's that. My job is done, of course, unless God's now having me wait. I've gone back to tiling, same way that Paul went back to tent making. I thought this would go on forever. But no, the Spirit has now moved on and is no longer a whirlwind crashing through me, showing me everything. Now it's just God is with me. And I just have to go back to a normal life and walk humbly with my God until the end comes. Or until somebody with a bucket full of money comes along and says, can you explain this to us in more detail? Because I've done my best. And now I must be done because God has not given me anything else to do. I came full circle. I did my circuit. And I have finished my circuit. And I have been faithful to God, I hope, that I have shown you what you need to understand. A lot of people are asking me about the videos. Oh, explain this, explain that. Everything I've explained is explained somewhere else on another video. You need to go through my videos of the playlist of all videos in order. That's on my playlists. Every single video I've done, I've tried to put in order as well as bust it up into different playlists so that you could just start the playlist and go 400 videos to the end. And at that point, you should have quite an excellent grip on the fact that energy and matter are separate, and that God is energy and we are matter, and that if God is energy and he gives away the water of life for free, then that's how we must live. Because if we become separated from God, what will happen is exactly what's happening now. We all die. We're a flash in the pan, a burst of life, a flower here today, gone tomorrow, green grass, brown tomorrow. That's what we are without energy. So turn to God, understand what I've done, so that you can only repent if you understand that God is real. Now, some people have been blessed that they believe that God is real, and so they have been shown the way and they understand. Those who are arrogant and prideful and think we're all some kind of wimpy dipshits, you are massively, massively mistaken, which is why I've arrived, which is why God sent me, because I was been called Mr. Logic when I was a teenager by my own brothers, because I would sit there and break down science and say, this isn't right. And they'd be like, we don't even understand their version. So, sorry, Lee, even though it's quite logical what you're saying, we don't believe you because mainstream science says this. So I stopped doing that because it was not making me any friends being Mr. Logic and being able to work stuff out. And then after God showed me everything, I've now shown it to you. And I've got a HVAC diploma, my gas and oil tickets, a civil engineering diploma, and a million other things behind my counter that you've never seen. So, yeah, God didn't send somebody who was like, oh, the Lord is love and light, and God's made of love, because that's just religious, stupid mumbo-jumbo as far as I'm concerned. God is a person. He is a being, and he just happens to be made of electricity. You might not want to comprehend that and say, well, electricity is what we use in things. Yeah, and it's used in you as well. Yeah, that's what you need to understand. You are an electric being with an electromagnetic matter body that has been brought into life by electricity and electromagnetism in the way that I have explained. So yeah, I'm not your normal Christian. This one's a lion, and there's no backing down from me, and there ain't no way to get away from me if I sink my teeth into you. So a lot of people haven't liked the way that I've smashed some certain people on YouTube. I did it because everybody was following the guy, thinking that, well, this is Ken L. Wheeler, aka Theoria Apophasis. I proceeded to show that he was a wizard who used smoke and mirrors and huge language to cover the fact that he's actually talking like an imbecile who knows nothing. His words don't describe how. All his words are describing words of something that has already been observed. Understand that. He is not telling you anything new. I've been watching a bit of a YouTube channel called Draft Science lately. And I must admit, I had a bit of a chuckle. He doesn't like God either, Mr. Draft Science, and he's got absolutely no time for any Christians. But so I won't recommend his channel to go and have a look at him, because even though I like what he says, some of the things that he says I don't like, because they're not very nice and they're not very Christian, and he's got no interest in God at all. But that's fine. But his take on theory or apophasis, aka Ken L. Wheeler, is quite correct. And if you listen to Draft Science, you will understand that Ken Wheeler talks nonsense. So this isn't about smashing a man. This is about smashing a man's rubbish, nonsense, lies, wizardry crap that he's trying to fool you all with. So, yeah, if you want to see if... because I had a bit of a laugh smashing all his work, really. People didn't like it, said it was very unchristian, even though Elijah sat there and mocked all the 400 prophets of Baal and asked if their God was taking a shit, and or was he asleep, and things like this. So mockery in the correct way is absolutely fine. We're not supposed to do it, but then if you're going to brag about something, I can mock it. The same way that you can mock me if I can't back up what I say. You mock an idiot's words, not the idiot. You mock his words and ask him to explain them. That's what you have described as sinful judging. And as far as I'm concerned, you can't judge me, because I have the Spirit and no man may judge me. I judge everybody else because I can. Because I've seen right from wrong. I know the true God. So anyway, my time is done. So unless God sends somebody along to pick this up and drag me out of the shadows again, I'll basically be disappearing into the Bible now. So I'm back working. I could explain the Bible. I'm going to give it a go if I have time. But everything else, all the power miracles, I've already explained. So this, again, would just be me being views for views. So I'll do my best to run through the Bible with you. But as far as I'm done, I'm done. I came, I told, and now I'm leaving. So just take heart. I'm not nobody's saviour. I'm not the man on campus. I just relayed to you what God gave to me. None of this is mine. I didn't think of any of it. God stuck it all in my head, and I literally watched a movie and wrote it all down because I couldn't get it out of my head fast enough. But now that it's out of my head, it's all back into my head. So it kind of works out pretty amazing, really. God is awesome, and he gives energy to people like that. And it's not about like, ooh, maybe the Spirit will arrive soon. No, the Spirit arrives or it doesn't. So there's a lot of people who are thinking that they're living the spiritual life and they're trying. But I spent 15 years giving everything else up. Looking at everything else like it was crap. TV, the world, fashion, people, sex, money, politics. It's all a pile of shit that's not worth nothing. And, excuse my language, but there isn't any other word for it. In the Bible, they use the word refuse and feces and vomit. Yeah, well, we live in the 21st century now. So, please excuse me if I hurt your ears with F-bombs or anything else. I don't think I'll be dropping any. But you never know in the future. Because human language is meant to be used, and lots of people are snowflakes and get offended at nothing. I saw in the paper the other day someone was offended and asked somebody to take down a little string of a paper chain of Halloween stuff. I don't agree with Halloween, and I certainly don't celebrate the Day of the Dead or the Night of the Dead or whatever pile of crap holiday it is, just to keep normal people entertained while they're being treated as slaves. Okay? I don't agree with it, but I'm certainly not going to stop anybody else from doing it. If you aren't hurting me or hurting anybody else, I can have my opinion on anything you do, and I don't have to agree with it. But I'll never stop you from doing it, because God gave free will to everybody, and it is not my place, and I have no authority to stop anybody doing anything else. All I can do is sit here and say pagan festivals are pagan festivals, and God thinks they're all shit. Okay? All of them. Every last one. Other than the death day of Jesus, the 3 days on the cross and the resurrection, there is no reason to be celebrating anything. Because you've all had the wool pulled over your eyes. We live in a shithole. We are a drug-infested, blind drunk, high as a kite, stinking of piss tramp in the gutter. That is the state of the human race. That is where we have been put by our political leaders and powers. We have been drugged up and force-fed beer, force-fed everything as much as they can to force us to work harder and faster. And more technological advancements have happened in the last 30 years than have happened in the last 1,000 years. And now they don't need you. Now it's time for another world war. They've got everything they need. They've got their robots, and they've got their food, and they've got their little robotic things to pollinate the food, because they've killed all the bees, and they've killed all the insects, and they've poisoned all the water, and they've poisoned all the people, and they've pumped you up full of coffee and sugar and drugs to make you work faster and harder and go, oh, me please. And they've pounded you and told you to have more babies and have more children till there's 8 billion people on the planet, so that they can pick and choose and kick you in the arse at the age of 40 and say, bring up the next slave. This one's done. They wouldn't care if they shot us all at 40. As long as they can get 20 years worth of hard labour out of you, that is all the leaders and the rulers and the powers that be want. They somehow managed to con a man into swapping his sheep and his wood for rocks and stones and pieces of paper. And then collected them all together and said, I'll look after you. And then treated them like slaves since day one. Those are the powers that be, and those are the rulers that are in charge. They are all leeches, and they are sucking off the blood of humanity. Everything we do, they try and take back. So understand what's about to happen in the world. They are going to remove money from health, from banks, from businesses, from social services, from helping anybody. All this money is about to be retracted. Okay? They had gold, and they paid everybody in gold 1,000 years ago. Then they invented a paper piece of shit monetary system, and they bought back all the gold. Now all you have is worthless pieces of paper. You have America going into their QE5, which is called quantitative easing, which really means counterfeit money. At the moment, I think they're releasing $400 million a month of counterfeit money that is not backed up by gold, copper, silver, diamonds, nothing. It's not backed up by anything. It's called quantitative easing, and it's counterfeit money. So very, very soon, over the next couple of years, there isn't going to be money for services. No police, no fire, no hospitals, no social assistance, no, oh, I got hurt at work. No, no money for that. Oh, I got to take a sick day. Don't even care. There's another 8 billion of you, so we're just going to fire you and hire somebody that can't speak English so we can give them half the money that we're giving you. So over the next several years, you are going to see the world tip. And it's just going to crash. The elite will disappear. They will all go and hide in Sweden or Switzerland or New Zealand or wherever it is. They will get into their little hidey holes, their mountains that we have just rediscovered, and yet they're still building more mountains that can house 1 million people, which of course will be the rulers and their armies. So that when they come back out after the disaster of the sun going out and the planet half ripping itself to pieces, they will come out with their gold, and their army will kill everybody that remembers exactly what they did before they went inside, and then they will try and start again. But this is the last time. This is third strike and you're out. This is the third voltage crash and the last. You get 3 goes. There's been 3 days in between. 3 crashes spread out over several thousand years. And it's all about to happen again. So yeah, they're all looking at the space rocks coming in now and saying we should put billions of dollars into deflecting asteroids. Why is it happening now? There has to be a reason why it's happening now, and they haven't stated it. They've just said, we should watch out for rocks. Whereas I've told you there's a universal voltage drop coming, and rocks are held out by electricity and electromagnetism. And when the energy shrinks, it will rotate all that matter right back into this planet. There is K2. There's a meteor above the sun right now, and it's something like got an 80,000 mile coma. It proves that it isn't a dirty icy snowball because it's already started to glow, which can only happen due to electrical machining of a comet's surface, because where this massive comet is minus 440 degrees Fahrenheit. So there is no way anything is melting off of this comet, even though NASA are sat there saying, oh, and it's starting to sublime already, which is absolute rubbish. It can't. It's minus 440 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? Almost absolute zero. There isn't anything melting on this comet, and yet it's coming at us over the next 5 years. It's as big as Jupiter. If you didn't know, go and have a look up on Thor News. His latest about, I think it's called the K2, something, comet, blah, 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 K2. It's got an 80,000 mile coma, and it's as big as Jupiter. So remember I told you that, because the end is coming. Rocks, asteroids, you name it, it's all coming to smash into this planet because the sun's going out and we're attached to the sun. Which means the rest of the universe is also going out because the sun is attached to the rest of the universe. And there we go. There's your doom and gloom. The Lord is coming as a storm, which means you ain't going to see God, especially atheists. All you're going to see is lightning, tornadoes, hurricanes, and shit hitting the fan. Okay? It's time to turn to God, because when that starts happening, he is no longer listening. No longer listening. You're done. And so am I. I thank you all for listening. I have enjoyed doing this immensely, and I'm a little disappointed I've got nothing else to do now. But I am very grateful that God has allowed me back to work, and he's put me in, as I said before, a better position than I was previously, over 3, 5, 6 years ago now. I was in financial problems then, and God has brought me out of it. And he's also allowed me to do all this. So all I can say is God is awesome, and if you don't turn to him, you will be outside the kingdom doors, screaming to be let in, where we will be inside paradise, looking out at you. And we will be stood there with the inexperienced young ones, and we will say, this is what happens to those that go against the king. They thought they could defeat the king, but they were stupid and foolish. And so, because of their arrogance and pride, they have been excluded from the kingdom, and they are outside in the scorched, dark, black land, where there is no peace and no blanket to wrap around yourself. There is only heat and cold and scorching winds and a terrible, terrible eternity. Because everybody is going to live, nobody is going to die. You are either in the kingdom or you are out of the kingdom. God doesn't deal in death. He's the God of the living. So you, because you are sinful, will be kicked out, and your body will continue to regenerate, even though your skin's literally being scalded off you, blown off you, whatever. You will be constantly kept alive in the lowest form of human life. Whereas us on the inside will constantly be renewed as the epitome of human life. We'll be shining like angels, shining like the sun, while you will be glowing like a piece of coal, like a black wraith. And in front of God's temple will be the lake of fire. His temple goes up in a double helix, spiraling upwards, whereas the lake of fire is the opposite and spirals downwards. And into that has been reserved for the devil and his angels. And they will be in front of God, bubbled forever. So, yeah, going against God and telling him he's a dickhead who doesn't exist is going to get you one of those two options. But if you understand what I've written, that energy and matter are separate, and the fact that all Scripture now attests to every piece of science that I've done, you will live and live abundantly forever. Thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ, and I have tried my best. And I pray that God loves you all and blesses you so that all may turn back, because God doesn't want anybody to die. He wants you all to come to an understanding of him so that we can all live. Thanks a lot.